The 2018 NFL Draft is fast approaching, and players who have sacrificed themselves, worked hard, and will soon see their dreams come true by playing in the NFL have something to say before the dream becomes a reality. And we're here to find out what that is. As we go one-on-one with Brian Allen, our lad's 6th-ranked center, 2018 NFL Draft on the OFN Meeting Room with Greg DePalma. All right, it's Saturday, March 10th, 2018. I'm Greg DePalma. Thanks for tuning into the OFN Meeting Room as we talk NFL Draft with Brian Allen. Brian, thanks for speaking with us today.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so how you feeling? East-West is done, and Combine is done, and all that kind of stuff. So what's next? How's it going so far since the college career ended?
Yeah, it's going good. The process is definitely kind of coming to an end. Kind of checking everything off with the All-Star game, the Combine, and the next thing's the Pro Day. So the Pro Day is March 23rd. So I'm just getting ready for that right now. I'm still out in Arizona training for that. So that's kind of the last stop on the road. So.
What do you? I don't know if you, because I don't know if you realize this or not, but you left a big impression on Dan Shonka at the East-West. You want to tell me how you did that?
Yeah, I think I just had a pretty good week there. It was a good opportunity to play in front of pretty good competition, and I just think that I stood out there in the practices and kind of proved that I was one of the better linemen there, and it was just a good overall week for me, and pretty grateful having had that opportunity. I think it definitely benefited me a little bit.
So how cool is it to see your brother Jack get to the NFL with the Saints at this before you, and how's he doing?
Yeah, it's something we always dreamed about growing up, and for him to finally be there is pretty cool, and to know that my opportunity coming next is on the horizon. It's exciting, but just to have an older brother who's been through this process and to be with an NFL team to kind of give me insight as to what really goes on is something that not everyone has the opportunity or advantage to have. So just having him there as a resource is pretty special, and helps me out a lot. So.
Has he talked at all? I'm just guessing he has, about just the process itself, that from the end of your final game with the Spartans to now. Has he even talked a little bit about that? And if so, or anything coming up to the draft, if there's anything that he has said to you that was surprising to you, or that you had no idea about, or has everything been kind of what you expected?
Not so much surprising, but just talking about how it is kind of a frustrating process as to not knowing what's coming next, and that's kind of where I am at now, just after the Combine and after the the All-Star game, and having him as someone who was potentially like a mid-round pick to going undrafted. It's just a guessing game, and something that you really just don't know what's going to happen. So I would just say the biggest thing is seeing his process and kind of understanding that I'm in a similar situation as to what is going to happen. So kind of just want to get to April and have it be over with, so I know what's going on and what's happening. But at the same time, it's a pretty cool process to go through. So
what about your younger brother Matt? What's his college playing career looking like so far?
Yeah, he's a redshirt freshman right now. He's the center at Michigan State as of right now in the spring, so taking over for us. So he's got to prove himself and continue to prove that he can play at a high level. And I'm excited to see him get some snaps this fall.
Well, you started 38 games for Michigan State along the offensive line, 17 at center. You had 21 at guard. You were a team captain. You were voted the team's most inspirational player. Sounds like you had yourself a real excellent career, college career, and you also left a good impression with your classmates and your teammates, as well as some of the other scouts, Dan Shonka and so forth, who have been able to see you following your college career. So how was that experience, that college career? Because it sounds like well-rounded college career, as I said, and I'm not kidding when I know I might sound like it, but when you're voted most inspirational player, that means you are leaving a heck of an impression.
Yeah, no, college was definitely a great experience, and all those awards or recognition, and it really just comes down to my teammates. And my best friends were my teammates for the last couple of years. So that's kind of another part of this process that stinks. Is some of them are still in college, but they made it easy just to come into the facility every day and practice, and continue to work towards what we wanted to achieve there. So I really got to thank them for all that, because they really made that experience as good as it was. So I'm just grateful to have pretty special teammates in East Lansing over my time there.
What do you think you're going to bring to an NFL unit that will make them better with you in the lineup?
Yeah, just a tough guy who wants to win, and I think I really spread that throughout an offensive line. I think people feed off my type of play. I don't think everyone brings that attitude that I try and play with, and when other guys see that, it's infectious. So really just a tough guy who works hard, who's gonna put his head down and go to work and do his job.
What do you have to improve upon the most?
I'd say the biggest thing is just consistency. At this next level, you really can't have bad plays, and that was something in college. You start off as a freshman, and you go 10 plays, and then you have a bad one. You start as a sophomore, you have 20 plays, then a bad one. Just keep continuing to have just good plays in a row. So just to continue to improve on that and play at a high level for a longer rate during the game.
Brian Allen joining us here on the OFN meeting room. And Brian, NFL lineman you're not related to that you look up to the most, if you have, either playing right now in the NFL or retired when you were growing up?
Yeah, I would say with Charles Bentley. He's actually my trainer right now, but just watching his film, he's also a center, and he's one of those guys who really did play with that attitude and play to the whistle, and might not always been the cleanest player, but he's played like how I want to play and played with an attitude, and I think that's something that you don't see all the time nowadays. So it's a player I look up to. I like watching his film.
You're an economics major, so if you weren't playing football, what would you be doing? Or let's just say if for some reason your football career didn't work out or it was shorter than you would like, what would you do if it wasn't football?
Yeah, I'd probably use that degree to become a coach. So
Really?
yeah, something I've always been interested in. So pretty cool to kind of help out younger guys and see them get better. So I think definitely gonna try that out for a little when football is over.
Favorite NFL team growing up?
I like the Bears growing up. Big Brian Urlacher fan, so Chicago Bears.
Okay. Biggest win of your career?
Michigan State, we've been pretty successful the last couple of years, but anytime you beat Michigan or Ohio State's like a special day. So those wins, and then when Oregon came to our stadium, so that one's up there. And then beating Notre Dame last year at Notre Dame was pretty cool.
Most disappointing loss?
Most disappointing loss, I would say 2016. We were going for 2 against Ohio State, and we didn't convert. We would have gone up 1 with 2 minutes left or something like that. So that one was tough.
Anything about the college game as far as the rules itself that everybody as fans, I mean, you play the game, you watch the game, there's always something that you think that they can improve the game on, whether it's a rule or just the game itself. You got the big differences in the NFL and college with the overtime rule. Is there anything specifically in the game itself that now that your college career is over, you look back and you say, I think they should do this or that as far as a rule change or just the game itself?
No, I really don't have anything. I always appreciated how it was set up in college, and nothing that really I could change or fix. So.
Okay. Game. Was there a specific game you were the most proud of? One that you went in and did what maybe you even exceeded your own expectations for that game, and you left the game and you remember that as wow. I went up against a tough team, a tough player, and I was real. That game sticks out. Or if maybe that's even a game where if you had to take film and show the scouts, that's the game that you would show them.
As far as my career, I would say my sophomore year against Ohio State, I think that was kind of the turning point where I went from, an average player to a good player. And I think it really took off from that point and just never really looked back. And it was exciting for me just because I'd been going through some stuff that season and just struggling at times. And, to finally have everything click and, kind of turn the page and start taking off, to a higher level. I think that was a big point in my time at Michigan State. Just something I look back on and looking at the kind of the bad games I had that made me the player I am now. So I think I can look back and appreciate it now.
What about a couple more questions? What about a player that you actually did play against and over your career, or it could even be a player that's going to be in the draft this year that you think fans should keep an eye on? May not be a top player, top 10 pick, but a player that you remember playing against and the fans out there that are getting ready for the draft or maybe even for next year if they're an underclassman, somebody that you remember playing against that you think is going to be a pretty good player down the road.
Yeah, I would say Maurice Hurst from Michigan. He was always, a very good player and someone you always had to put some extra preparation in for in that week just because the type of player he is. He's kind of a bigger prospect, but he's just someone who, even going to Michigan, we've always respected at Michigan State, and he's a good guy. So I would say him.
How about most exciting player when you're on the sidelines and you're watching the game on offense? The most exciting player that you've actually had an opportunity to see up close in your college career?
Yeah, my second game of my career was at Oregon. Got to play Marcus Mariota, so kind of being a true freshman and getting to play someone of that caliber is it's pretty cool to finally be at that level and see a player like that.
And this isn't unusual to have an offensive lineman with a background in wrestling. You were a champion high school wrestler. You were undefeated as a junior. You almost won back-to-back championships. You lost that in overtime. Now, look, I don't know anything about wrestling, but that still, you lose the championship in overtime or an opportunity to win back-to-back championships in an overtime situation. That had to be pretty crushing. So you enjoyed your wrestling career in high school?
No, yeah, that was definitely a highlight, in my life, being a wrestler. Something I started wrestling when I was 5, and pretty grateful for, having gone through that. That sport teaches you a lot of lessons that, parenting, friendship, that just can't teach what that sport teaches. So it's grateful for, having had parents who put me in that sport and, kind of had me grow up in it. So it's a tough sport that, teaches a lot of life lessons that, I think I still use. And being an offensive lineman, understanding, body position and stuff like that, still something I use now that, other offensive linemen don't understand, quite as well as wrestlers, not having done it.
All right, Brian. Well, look, I want to leave you with this. I'm a New York Jet fan, and the Jets need a center.
They need a center,
They need a center. You know that. So have they talked to you at all? I mean, I know you always hear about the hotshot quarterbacks that talk to all the teams. But you never hear about all the other players that talk to the teams. Have you talked to teams at all? How does that work out?
No, yeah. I met with 15 or so teams at the East-West game, and then I met with 19 teams at the Combine. Jets weren't one of them. So.
Well, maybe that's
we'll
a smoke screen.
Happens.
I hope so, because they need a center. I mean, why wouldn't they talk to you? Brian, thanks a lot for taking the time to talk to us today, and we look forward to talking to you again a little bit down the road. Good luck in the draft.
All right, thank you.
Thank
you. For having me.
You got it, Brian. All right, that is Brian Allen, and wow, great coach, a great playing career at Michigan State, and may not be ranked like Billy Price, who was lined up on the opposite side of with Ohio State. Number 1 ranked center for our lads. But I'm going to tell you right now, I know Dan Shonka just as much as anybody out there can know him with how he breaks down players. And he may not have Brian ranked number 1, but I know he'd probably like to. I know what he felt about Dak Prescott, what he felt about Cooper Kupp, and I know what he thinks about Brian Allen, and that's part of the reason I wanted to get Brian on the show here, because again, it's he's a kid that's going to have I believe, and I think Dan believes, and I know Dan believes very strongly he's going to have a long NFL career. So very disappointed to hear that the Jets didn't interview him. Why on earth wouldn't they interview Brian Allen when they have no center? Well, I guess we'll find out in free agency first. That's next week. Maybe that's why. But anyway, some NFL team will definitely take advantage of Brian Allen, and we wish him the best of luck. Don't forget, NFL draft fans, order a subscription of your choosing, including the 2018 Ourlads NFL Draft Guide. To do that, all you need to do is log on to the ourlads.com website, hit the subscribe menu on the top left-hand side corner of the homepage, fill out the form, and wait for your guide to come to a mailbox by you real soon. Follow us on Twitter, receive up-to-date media alerts for all our content and programming, including when this show is available on demand. You can follow us on Twitter at PrimeSN. All right, thanks for listening to this edition of the OFN Meeting Room with Greg DePalma on the Ourlads Football Radio Network, where it's never too early to think about the NFL Draft.